Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Belief Bag, where we talk about prophetic dreams and visions and exit and investment strategies for the wealth transfer and our crypto bags. This is Kelly, and I am so glad to be back with you today. So, I started working on the series that I talked about with the purification and the elevation that has been happening in my life. And I promised that I would share on this, and I have been trying to. Every time I start organizing this video, I get more revelation. The prophetic flow stops. I realize I'm missing something. And so since July, I've been trying to work on this, and I realized it just wasn't quite ready. So now I feel like I am at the point where I can go forward with the revelation and the purification and the elevation that I wanted to share with you all. But first, as I was organizing that, I realized I needed to release a few visions and dreams and give them their own separate video. So that is what I'm doing today. And if we have a moment, I'll touch on the elevation and purification and what I'm going to be speaking about going forward. Okay, so the first vision I had ever in my adult life, anyways, that I remember, was 9/23/2020. And I was actually waking from an unrelated dream when God stepped in. And off in the distance, he shows me a vision. And off in the distance, I see a mushroom cloud rising into the sky. And then I heard God speak. It was very direct. And what he said was, it wasn't stern, but it was very direct. And he said, not today, tomorrow. Not today, tomorrow. Again, on 9/23/2020, 4 years ago this week, I woke up from an unrelated dream, and God stepped in and showed me a mushroom cloud off in the distance. And this was the only time so far that I have ever heard God speak. And he said, not today, tomorrow. Not today, tomorrow. Again, 9/23/2020. This next is a warning for New York, and I had 3 warnings for New York, so I'm going to go into each one. The first one happened in 2020, and I was driving to Pennsylvania in the natural, and I went under a New York street sign, highway sign. And as I'm driving under it, I'm kind of like, oh, New York, I'm like, how cool. And, fangirling like I'm a teenager or 20-year-old that would, used to want to live in a big city like that. And as I'm saying that, it's like out of my spirit, I heard, no, Kelly, New York, very like ominously it was said. And it was like, no, Kelly, New York, like you do not want to go there. Something is going to happen. So the next warning for New York was actually a vision. And in this vision, I was taken physically into New York City, which I believe was New York City anyways. It felt like New York City. And I'm looking all around me, and it's just high rises all around me. And I am behind this car, crouching, hiding behind this car on the street. And off in the distance, there's automatic gunfire going off. And New York was desolate. I mean, desolate. So that was the second warning for New York. Taken into a vision, hiding behind a car, and it felt like Manhattan. Automatic gunfire is going off in the distance, but New York was desolate. The third warning for New York, I was actually taken into a vision where I was overlooking an exit in a city that's an hour to my west. And this city, I actually took this exit one time in my 20s to go up, pick up a family pet. And this exit, I couldn't figure out why God was showing me this. I actually have driven past it multiple times since then. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It wasn't until I came back the opposite direction and saw that exit coming from the north heading south that I looked up and saw the street sign's name was Manhattan Boulevard. And so I realized, okay, Lord, I get what you're saying. Just another confirmation that I needed to speak about New York. So this one's kind of heavy, and I'm just going to say that right up front. I mean, New York's heavy. All of it's heavy. Bomb's heavy. This one, I felt like I was stepping out of a building into like a green space, and all of a sudden someone sprayed like a bioweapon or some kind of spray right at my face, right at my body. And the next image I saw was a toddler, like a little boy, age 3, maybe 4. He reminded me of my oldest son when he was about 3.5, and that's how I gauged it. And and the little boy, I could see from his waist up, and he was horizontal. And it's the view you would see if you were looking at a little child in a casket. And so, again, I was walking out. I felt like I just stepped out of a building of some sort, and a spray substance was sprayed towards my face. And I don't know if this was coming from the sky or if that's the interpretation, or from a truck, or, spraying for mosquitoes, or if it's a biological weapon that's being sprayed from something else that's going to affect kids. To put this out there so we can pray for the safety of all the children in this world, because I don't know where this is going to happen, but I just wanted to put it out there and be on the lookout. If you see anything out of the ordinary where kids are passing at exceptional rates, or something along those lines, where maybe there's something being sprayed for mosquitoes or bird flu, or who knows, maybe it's something unrelated, and but just pay attention. A spray substance, some type of biological, it felt like, that would harm kids. Another heavy word, but this one was a dream. And this one actually happened, I believe, 4/6/2021. And this dream I actually posted on Facebook. It was the only vision or dream that I ever posted on Facebook. Felt very led to do it. I don't know why. Because I just realized that I was even having prophetic dreams and visions after vision 9/23/2020. That's when everything started. All the visions and dreams started after that particular one, where God spoke to me. So I believe it's all related, because I was shown everything that I've been given is really related to this time, this season in history, because I was not given a lot of fillers. You'll see that I have, maybe this is like my 18th video or something like that. I want to keep things very concise. I don't want to muddy the waters. It's really important that we just pay attention to these things. So the next was a dream. It took place in my husband's grandma's lake cottage, which is right down the road from me. And in her lake cottage, we were standing at a charging station. It was me, my mother-in-law, and some of my husband's extended family that would come up on like 4th of July and different holidays during the summer. It wasn't out of the ordinary. We were at grandma's cottage. We were standing at this charging station where you would charge at a phone or a tablet. But this charging station is physically in my own house that I live in now, that we built. And so this home has the charging station, but it was in the dream in grandma's cottage. And I think that's significant. And I think it might have something to do with power or the grid or power being down. So we were standing at this charging station, and I think I had my purse out, and my mother-in-law's going through her purse, and she's like, "Oh, I forgot something for the dinner. I need to run back to the store. Do you want to go with me?" I'm like, "Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely." But I'm like, "You're going to have to check us out because I don't have an ID, or I don't have my ID." I'm not sure exactly how I said that. Like, okay, that's odd. And so we get to the store. The next scene is we're in the store. She's checking out at the cash register, but I'm up front, like where someone would bag, like standing in front of the aisle. And I'm looking all around me to the other lines in the grocery store, and everybody is staring at me, and I feel absolutely shunned. Like, my mother-in-law was checking out with a digital ID, and it may have been tied to her driver's license, that real ID we had to get in 2020, or they wanted us to get, they highly encouraged us to get. I feel like it was tied to that, or some kind of ID, and to buy groceries, we needed it. And so this was some kind of social credit system, universal income, digital ID, and it was linked to us being able to get groceries. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. On 5/8/2022, I believe this was Mother's Day, God slipped in right as I was waking again and gave me another vision. I usually wake repeating something that he wants me to pay attention to. And in this case, I literally woke and I was saying, it was very creepy. I woke and I said, "Fire, fire, fire. There is a fire." And I heard crackling of logs all around me, like I was immersed in the fire. So that was 5/8/2022. I heard fire, fire, fire. There is a fire. And then I heard crackling of logs all around me. Now, I do want to say that Maui fires did happen after this word, but I'm just not sure yet if that was in regards to that, or if that's something that's still coming. So I wanted to release it. Now in 5/1/2001, and you may ask why I'm releasing such old words now, is because I was shown that everything is tied in to what I'm supposed to be showing for the exit plan. It's just figuring out where the pieces tie in to release them at. And these are the pieces that I believe tie into the last words that I've been given so far. So this word was, I woke repeating, another woke repeating. I woke repeating the word Covfefe, and I wrote it down Confefe, Confefe, but it's actually spelled Covfefe, and I'm not sure if you know what this term or this word is, but this word is affiliated with DJT, and in May of 2017, he must have tweeted this word, and people thought it was an accident, a misspelling, and made fun of him about it, and but then when he was kicked off Twitter and he opened that Truth Social account, his first tweet was that word, Covfefe. I find this out, of course, after the fact of hearing it in the spirit and repeating it. But when I went to research it, I found out that that was his first Truth Social tweet, and I'm like, okay, there is something to this word. So Covfefe, Covfefe. Don't know what that's regards to, but keep that in mind. On 1/17/2024 this year, I have only had a handful of dreams, and this one was a dream. I woke and, in this dream, I was in a dorm room and my roommate walked in, and my roommate was a nurse, and she was young, and she was early 20s, like my son is. My son is going to school to be a nurse. He's a junior in college. And so this beautiful girl walks in and she introduces herself, and she's all full of life. And I'm like, yeah, I joined the military with my son, which is so odd. And I'm like, he's down doing his calisthenics or whatever they do in the morning, And I'm like, he's down doing his calisthenics. She introduces herself as some kind of nurse, kind of specialized nurse, it felt like. And like I said, she was beautiful, but I was thinking, I'm like, oh, I've got to introduce her to my son. And but then I had the realization that I thought that she was going to be his future wife, but this is the kicker. I felt like her and my son were there and they were drafted. And I could see myself as the mom I am joking with my son that if he's getting drafted, I'm going with him because clearly nobody wants their son to be drafted. It felt like a draft. So I'm putting this out there that he would never join the military on his own. So knowing that, and with everything going on in the world and knowing that, it felt like the draft. Okay, on video 14, I wanted to point out, please go back and check out video 14. It has some important October and November words and that I released last year. Please go check them out. Prophetic Insights video 14. There's some words for October and November that I wanted to bring up again, that have been in my spirit again to bring up. I believe the first one started October 23rd. So please check that out. My previous video, which was the Palau ID video, I am so very sorry. I have to state this out loud because somehow when I was editing that video, I must have taken out, or because I recorded it so many times, I must have either edited it out or forgot to say it. But you absolutely do need to utilize a VPN downloaded to your computer or your phone to utilize Palau ID on these exchanges. And I apologize. I know a few of you have reached out and asked. So I wanted to put that out there that absolutely, if you are utilizing the Palau ID on an exchange like KuCoin or MEXC, you're going to want to set your country to like the UK or Germany or something. I don't want to search that exchange and see what countries are allowed to KYC. You'll know where to set your VPN then once you realize what countries can KYC with that exchange. Palau ID, you absolutely need a VPN. Flare, the reason I have not released a video on Flare is because F assets aren't live yet. And so I've made a video on every way to earn yield except for liquid staking with kinetic markets, which is a newer thing. And I think I will eventually make a video on that. I don't want to get anybody confused. So I on that or post a video that people can follow on liquid staking. But again, F assets aren't live yet, but they are coming. And once they come, just know the flare that you'll be loaning to the network, again, not financial advice, but the amount of flare that will be needed to lock up the assets that are being brought over that will have instant yield and will also be able to be utilized in smart contracts. All these sitting assets will be brought over to the network that don't have smart contract capabilities. The amount of flare, the amount of stable coins, and the amount of the asset itself that's going to need to be locked up. I want you to think about this for a minute. Remember, in these dreams where people are coming down, like I was coming down with my crypto bags, but remember, in these dreams where people are coming down, seeing the flash crash, some of them have said, set buy orders at the bottom, clearly. But they have seen specific buy orders, and they saw one gentleman heard, when they dump, we loot. When they dump, we loot. Another saw that not many people had buy orders set for all these different cryptos. And so, for example, XLM, Algo. So what do you think? Why would he be shown to pick up some liquidity at the bottom? Do you think it's because maybe those assets are going to be the liquidity that we loan to the market? So I wanted to bring that up, is picking up liquidity at the bottom, setting those buy orders. I believe that is going to be the liquidity that we're going to be loaning to the automated market maker when we're capable ourselves of doing that. And that is more for an advanced trader, but also it'll be part of the assets that we're loaning to Flare Network. As the assets come over, again, they're going to be locked up with Flare, stablecoin, and the asset itself to secure it. So if we need to loan XRP to Flare Network for people that are bringing over XRP, And we will be the liquidity providers of these networks, not financial advice. But I am not going to muddy the waters. I just want to keep things very clear. I've shown all the ways to earn yields. Want to do more research on Flare? I encourage everyone to do their own research on Flare. Go out, find as much info, find the YouTubers that are really experts on Flare, because I am not the expert, though I definitely have been shown that I need to show the basics and lead people in the right direction. But I am not the expert, though I will be putting clips together of the experts to help out with the learning process as we go. But I wanted to make a point that Marcus had a dream recently about 2 months ago, and I think it was something to the effect of, the title was "This Coin's Total Supply to be Bought Out." And he saw a pink crypto that its total supply was basically all the shares of it were bought out. He thought first it was Velo. He wasn't sure. Then he had a revelation that maybe it was Flare. He reached out to me. I, of course, said the first thing I thought of was Flare, 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 you know. And knowing how much Flare is going to need to be locked up to secure the assets being brought over, and so many other things that Flare will be utilized for on the network, I feel like it could have very well been Flare that he dreamed of. So I wanted to bring that up. Go watch his video. And then let's quickly, and I'm going to put a couple charts up here, but I wanted to make mention that I don't know if you've been paying attention, but after Marcus and I did the live on his elevator dream. Now, if you haven't seen it, I think earlier this year, we did a live about the elevator stops in his elevator dream from last year. You know what? It actually may have been 2 years ago that he had that dream, because I believe I reached out to him March 13th, 2023, and I sent him a message, I think, into his, I don't think he ever got it, because we talked about it. I don't think he ever got it. But anyways, so going back to this elevator that Marcus and I had talked about, I don't know if you paid attention, but we literally just came down and touched that 52K support on September 5th or 6th, I believe. And so one thing that when I recognized this dream of his as Bitcoin price points, I recognize them as supports. I actually recognize the 52K support, and that's what kind of twinkled at me. And that is why I started putting the pieces together, that I thought it was related to Bitcoin price points. But in my heart, I knew they were support. Support levels are where price points tend to either reverse or consolidate sideways, and they support the level from falling further, okay? And so these price points are what you would come down and touch and hold support. Though we had hit 43, 46, and 48, and 50, and 52 price points, we just came down and held that support, okay? We touched that support again at 52.5. And so I think that's really important, touching that 52 support. If we now go off into some kind of shorter alt season where elevators could be going off in the shaft. You remember Marcus saw like 12 elevators. Now, another point I wanted to make, when we initially hit the price point of 52K, that very day, it was February 25th. That is the day that SHIB went up and hit its multi-year high. It had a big green candle that day, starting that day. And so it hit its highest price point that it's hit in multi-years. And I'm guessing that Marcus had SHIB, clearly, because that's one of the prophetic coins. So technically, that did start going off at 52K, though I really think that the main alt season is after this 52K support. Again, not financial advice. I just want us to be aware of the time. Clearly, I could be wrong. That dream did not have much to go off of, but that 52K kind of twinkled at me. and I always pay attention. It stuck out to me. And so I went out on faith March 13th, 2023. And what do you know, just a year later, we start hitting those support levels and then holding those support levels. And so I just wanted to bring up that I believe that Marcus's dream was actually support levels and that we just literally went down and touched. So I'm going to put up a screenshot of a year in review of the Bitcoin price chart. That way you can see those price points and when we hit them. The point of this is I had an elevator dream, and I was going down in the elevator with my crypto bags in free fall. I knew I was going to hit ground zero, and I was kind of okay with it, but I knew my crypto bags were with me. If you go back and check out the elevator dream, and that morning I literally went onto an elevator, and that's when I even remembered that I had the elevator dream for the night before, because I had a vision while I was on the elevator of being in free fall. And so God had me remember that elevator dream in such a crazy way by being in an elevator the next day. And then he had a follow-up dream to that elevator dream. This is why I know it's so important, and this is why I'm bringing it up again. Because in this follow-up dream, I was saying to myself, I woke in my childhood home, I woke in my childhood bedroom. I've never had a dream of my childhood home in my adult years. And I woke repeating, Kelly, remember your elevator dream, withdraw some XRP. Kelly, remember your elevator dream, withdraw some XRP. So I was so adamant about withdrawing some XRP. And I just want to put this out there, because if you have a lot of a coin that takes off in the alt season, and I believe that's why we've been kind of shown the path of things. If you have enough of something that takes off in the alt season, and it would be beneficial to have some additional cash in your pocket, maybe buy some additional silver or gold or whatever it may be, but to have security here, if for a bit of time, let's say 6 months of time, I'm just kind of putting that out there, and if you needed support for 6 months of time, do you have enough at home to support you for that? And that's money, that's silver. And so that's why I felt like I was being told to withdraw some XRP. Like there might be a period of time where I couldn't get any funds. And but also to reinvest at the bottom, so I'm not going up with this large amount in an alt season and I don't withdraw any. Now I would never withdraw it all, just because I would never put myself in that position. I think it's have your eggs in multiple baskets. And so I'm just stating this, and it's not financial advice. This is for me and for someone that may have holding coins for a long time and at this point need to withdraw some, not all, to help them out for a period of time. So put some right now cash in your pocket. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I believe, and there's another gentleman, and this was the other thing, that the day that I sent Sharon my elevator dream a while back, I also, the moment I pressed send, this gentleman's elevator dream showed up on my feed as the first video. And it was like, any videos I talk about, I'll put in the comments above. But his elevator dream, he saw people in free fall, like holding their face. He heard, what held Bitcoin broke, what held the crypto market broke, what held the elevator broke. And so I had said, what held the elevator, what holds an elevator is a tether, is a cord, a safety tether. And so what holds the crypto market, in my eyes, is a stable coin, and what holds Bitcoin is a stable coin / tether, And so, yeah, I've realized that maybe it could be one of the variables. I've put that out there multiple times in the past on people's comments. I just wanted to state this again, that it definitely could be a variable, but also just knowing where we're at, because the narrative is not going to lead you in the right direction. The news narrative on the crypto market. Okay. So it's going to have euphoria when you should be pulling back, basically. And so if you pay attention, just be aware, from the previous dreams, this is kind of what I've gathered. And with my free falling elevator dream, with that gentleman's free falling elevator dream, and then with the Marcus price points or support levels that I thought, because again, how would God show us price points when price points get hit multiple times? It would have to be supports. It makes so much sense. We just literally touched that 52 support. So that was and now if we go off into an alt season of sorts, even if it's small, and there's some funds to withdraw that would help you out, I just don't want you to hesitate. I just would not, clearly I am not saying withdraw all your funds, not at all, not even close. I'm just saying be aware, and if you need some funds for the times, do not hesitate to take some out. So be aware of the times. In January and February of 2022, my life changed. I had a friend that passed away in January. He was 45 years old. I went to school with him, single man, no kids, and he passed away, what we believe, from hospital COVID protocols. And he knew what to do to stay out of the hospital, and it was just so heartbreaking for me. And then I had a perceived crisis in my own life, and I realized that I could not go on living the way I was living as a surface level human being, with habits and, basically just going from one dopamine hit to another dopamine hit to keep me happy throughout the day, whatever it may be. And I'm just saying, if it be, binging on TV or eating or night eating or sugar or gossiping, whatever it may be. I just knew in all areas of my life that I needed to become the most whole version of myself. And so every day I started praying. Every day I started waking up with gratitude in my heart, stating it out loud in the morning before I'd even get out of bed, how grateful I was for every living thing, that all God's creation, which is really the only thing that really matters. And so I started rising above that human level surface thinking of that egotistical mind of the blame game. And I started realizing that God needed us to become the most whole version of ourselves, the most authentic whole version of ourselves, because he made us so unique for a reason. And what I realized was that being authentic was being love to yourself. And so I started aligning myself with God's truth. And at his essence, God's truth was love. I realized that what God really needed us to do was all to turn inward and self-govern. And when I started become the embodying being that person, being the wholest version of myself in all areas of my life, God started elevating. As I leveled up, I saw a vision of myself. Literally every time I would level myself up in an area of my life, I would give something away. I would, a dopamine hit that habits change. And so you're just doing things to really raise that dopamine level. And I realized that living this human life, you're doing things just to feel good. And so, but I wasn't aligned with God's truth as I leveled myself up, and he was really working on my beliefs. And then he tied in that, Kelly, I want you to share how I helped you with your beliefs. And so he went in and worked on every single belief that I had with me. And as I healed those beliefs that didn't align with God's truth, I started healing the beliefs, the limiting beliefs from when I was a child, from growing up in a family of 8 kids, and basically growing our own food because we didn't make a lot of money. Money wasn't really important to my parents. They were just more peaceful people. And so being in the rat race was not important to my parents. So again, we didn't have much money. And so I lacked, and I felt lack, and I thought I deserved to lack. And so he started working on these limiting beliefs in my life. And he say, I have forgiven you for your mistakes. I have forgiven you for those things that you keep, bearing. And so he kept, bringing these rememberings up to me. And instead of, burying them again, forgave myself. I shined a light on that mistake. And when I did, and when I showed love to myself and forgave myself, I saw a vision of me coming up and hugging Jesus and meeting him halfway in the sky. And he's like, you're getting it. You're getting it. Start becoming that person. That's how you honor me. Be the best version of yourself. And that's how we honor what Jesus did here on this earth. And so I just wanted to bring this up. And I don't want to give too much information because I don't want to hinder anybody else's experience that they have. And I don't want to ruin the surprise, I guess. And so I do want to say, though, that during this time, beliefs are so important. Start aligning, getting rid of the ones that don't align with God's truth, that aren't serving you for the future. The ones that align with fear are not of God. And as you start healing, he will show you the broader purpose of it all. And it's much more beautiful than you can ever imagine. And so of why some of the past that you took and why it led to this and how it led to this. And so I just wanted to bring up that there is elevation happening. Start being the best version of yourself, and God will show you his truths. Now, as you're doing this, and let me give you some tips. I was meditating with God every single day. It was powerful. I was fasting the majority of the day. And so I would open my window. I do it every day, intermittent fasting. And when I am hearing God the clearest, I am fasting. And so fasting is so important. And why Sharon had to give up night eating. This is all shown to me, things like this. And it's the little things in life that add up to the big things. And so being love to yourself every day, even not eating at night because that's love to your body, is so important during this time. So all those things that keep besting you, this is the time. Let God show the bigger purpose. Heal, heal, heal. Forgive yourself. And as you do, God will start elevating you. There's a little personal touch that's been happening personally within my life. And there has been, and I believe other people will have a personal touch too. So I'm not going to say exactly where because I don't want to ruin it for anybody else, but I've emailed myself, and in the email I say where this is happening. But there has been a drop of water that has dropped on my body in a particular location about 7 times. And it doesn't matter if it's indoor, it's outdoor, if I'm sitting down, if I'm standing up, there is one drop of water that has been landing on one part of my body. And so I wanted to share that with you. It's encouragement that God is moving. You're going to get massive downloads. You're going to understand things at a higher understanding of consciousness. And it's almost like a divine spirit understanding. And I don't want to put too many words into it because there really isn't human words for what starts to begin in your life as you start aligning yourself with God's truth and being the best version of yourself. And as we do that, then we can really, really be the light in other people's lives. And Sharon's talking about children of the light, and wonderful things are going to be happening within your life. And it's time to let go of those things that have bested you. Along with all the rest of us, we have them too. And let's move on, rise above, elevate yourself above the surface level egotistical minds, and realize that there is a much bigger purpose to what God's got planned to this life. There's a much bigger purpose. And so when God says, love thy neighbor like thyself, there is a much bigger purpose to that, okay? And when you start living from more of a divine perspective, and there will be a perspective shift in your life. And I'm sharing these things again. I don't want to share too much until my next video because I need to teach it in its entirety from what I was shown for it to truly make sense. But just know that I am so grateful to be sharing these details with you today. And I hope to have more to be able to put this into words and a broader perspective. I think Sharon's going to be teaching a lot on the biblical perspective, and he kind of showed me more of a like a fifth grade perspective, so people really understand the basics of what is happening in their life as these changes start happening. But just know you're going to know what to do. You're going to know what to do. There is going to be an elevated perspective that is going to start happening in your life. Just believe that this wealth transfer is done, that we are safe, our families are protected, our kids are protected, and we have been elevated above this understanding and this narrative of this life. There's so much more that we are going to be being pure conduits of God's infinite love going forward. And it's now we just need to learn to start living that person, being that person, start embodying that feeling of love. You know, when you hold your child for the first time, you see your child being born, that love, you know, your favorite place on earth, you feel that in your heart. Start feeling that feeling as you're praying in gratitude to God. Start feeling that feeling for other people in your life until you start embodying that feeling. And that's, I believe, how we start honoring God and Jesus's walk here on earth. He was showing us how to be. And so I'm leaving you with three lines that he said to me. These were downloaded to my spirit, and I was going to teach on them, but instead of teaching on them, I had a download that I was just supposed to deliver the lines. And as you sit and meditate with God, and you sit in the quiet place with God, let him tell you what these mean. He'll fill in his truths. And so here are the lines that was shared with me and helped me understand what we were moving into. So the first line, and I heard this literally telepathically, instantly delivered to my spirit the same night that I heard that there was going to be something that wrapped around XRP to buy it. That night, some amazing miracle happened and within my life. Something miraculous happened within my life, and I will share that at another time. But I heard this delivered telepathically to my spirit instantly, and the first line was, get in alignment. Kelly, get in alignment. Get in alignment. And so I had human understanding of what this meant, but get in alignment, take that to God and pray on it and meditate on it, and he will deliver what it means for you. The second is this. There is going to be some scary times that are coming forward. There's going to be a lot of darkness, and this is a lesson that he will teach. And what I heard over and over in my spirit was, and God teaches, his lessons are so simple, very simple. Focus on the light and the light expands. Focus on the light and the light expands. So I would hear Kelly, focus on the light and the light expands. Focus on the light and the light expands. So I'm not going to share what I understand now, but I want you to take that back and repeat it over and over as you're just doing laundry, as you're sitting with God in the quiet place. And usually things like the downloads come as I'm doing those mundane things, and I can just kind of let my mind be quiet. And so let your mind be quiet and repeat these words over and over. Get in alignment. Focus on the light and the light expands. And the third one is, you have to be before I am. You have to be before I am. Those are the three lessons I heard delivered to my spirit very strongly, repeated over and over. And as I decided that I was going to teach on these, and I've been trying to make this video for 2 weeks, I have scrapped so many videos because I started teaching on it, and then it was delivered to my spirit that I was not supposed to teach on these, that you are supposed to take these back, and God will show you what to believe, and He will align your beliefs with His truth. So thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. Take care. And if you want to support me, please pray for me. Please pray for my family. Please pray for my time freedom. If you want to support me more, you can like this video. And if you want to support me further than that, you can always check out the About section. And I have some details if you want to make a donation. Again, thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. Donated to my channel. I so appreciate you. It moves me every time. And so I will also be talking about a donation I received a while back in the summertime that actually came after praying. And this donation came in the very next day, and it moved me so much because I had given something up to God, and I said, I'm going to give you the middle you can handle. And I needed a certain amount of money. And this donation came in and made the amount of money that we needed. So you may know who you are. And I just want to say thank you so very much. And I will talk about you in the Purification Elevation video because it's a part of my testimony now. So thank you. You take care. Have a wonderful evening. God bless. Good night.